I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. You can see here we're now in September. It's the last final stretch of the year, even though there are still a few games in October. But pretty much we're near the end of the season. And currently sitting at 53 and 78, 18 and a half games out of the division, virtually virtually out of the playoffs there. And now we're officially the worst team in the AL. I wonder if they're the worst team in all of baseball. Expanded standings by sub-league. We are currently the worst team in all of baseball, which would put us in contention for the #1 overall pick. Hopefully we get it. Last year we dropped spots. Perhaps this year we'll gain some spots. So not much of a... Even though we're technically slightly better than we were last year, we're still not much different. One of the worst teams. Offensively, though, it looks like we're picking up a little bit. Home runs, we're getting some power. Like I said, I keep trying to add more power to the lineup each year as we keep going. Because I want guys that can hit 300 and hit 20 home runs. That would be ideal lineup. Pitching is still, as the bullpen has kind of fallen apart lately. Maybe this season is just too long for them. Defensively, we're definitely dropped. But then again, we're kind of making a scrap infield. Or the infield, especially up the middle, has kind of been not the first choices. Like Mauricio at shortstop is not the ideal option. Moving Zach from third to second is okay, but then I'm taking away from third, where he's a better defender than Brett Harris, and it just kind of free falls from there. Center fielder is Esteury Ruiz, who's just not quite as good as Mauricio, so it all kind of ties in together for a little worse defense than what it should be. But at least we're not making errors. So, or we are, but we're #1 in that department as far as not making them. August 7th, there's plenty of transactions going on, of course, this month since it is the final month. Zach Jackson was optioned back to AAA Las Vegas, and Stevie Emanuel was activated from the IL. And then some bittersweet news. I say bittersweet because he has been struggling, but left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi was placed on the 60-day IL with a torn flexor tendon. He's expected to miss 8 months. Kikuchi more than likely pitched his last game for us as an A. If I go look at how he ended up doing, because he's in his final year of the contract, I don't really see myself re-signing him. Nothing about him was saying, hey, we should re-sign him. He was, don't get me wrong, he was okay. For us, he struggled. Just no need to keep him on. I can probably get something better out of free agency if I need to. Hopefully this year we sign a guy. Last year we couldn't get anybody signed. So that's him, unfortunately. So I ended up selecting the contract of Ken Waldichuk, and I think he started off with a good game and then had a bad game, so not quite sure what to make of him. Talent-wise, he doesn't seem to be much worse than Kikuchi. They're roughly the same, except he's just a lot less money. And I don't have to re-sign him, and I have plenty of control over him. Although he was a little subpar at AAA Las Vegas, but he did lose all of last year due to an injury, so he's extremely rusty. So it's nice to see him actually just healthy and pitching after taking the entire season off. And then, of course, second baseman, August 29th, the recent injury. Second baseman Nick Ahmed placed on the 10-day IL with a sprained ankle. He's expected to miss 2 weeks, so another second baseman gets injured, and we just keep losing these defenders. So I ended up calling up left fielder Max Schumann. Recalled him from AAA Las Vegas, and he's a good enough defender at second base, and he can play multiple other positions. Yeah, he's actually starting as a left fielder versus left-handers, actually leading off. I've built him to be pretty good. He can fill in multiple positions if needed. Not exactly having a hot start for us. He hasn't played much. Last year he played nearly half the games. Did okay-ish. this year he's been at AAA pretty much the entire season. I finally called him up where he's currently struggling, but last month of the year, let's just see what we got with him. Type of situation there. And then, of course, September 1st rolled around, so the roster is expanded. We could start adding some guys. So Freddie Tarnock was activated from the IL. Ended up moving him to my... I'm going to have to monitor his upcoming start. I'll probably keep him on a friendly pitch count, since he didn't really go through a heavy rehab process. But I figured I'll use him as my expansion call-up. Left fielder Lazaro Armenteros was recalled from AAA Las Vegas. I don't think he's even played a single inning. I don't think he's playing in any lineup. Lazaro, I don't think he's in any lineup. He's not. He's just there for the backup. Hasn't played for us at all this year. He's a solid outfielder. He's like a decent player. He's a good bench player if you need him. Last year for us was definitely a subpar season. But again, he was crushing at AAA. He's doing really well. Playing well at AAA is keeping him in the fold to get a call back up, and he did. He earned it. I don't know if he'll end up playing or not, but he definitely earned it, at least a call-up. And then right fielder Lawrence Butler was optioned to AAA Las Vegas. He's not developing the way I would like. He's got the skill set that I love, but he just won't. Now for the most exciting news. I don't know if he saw it or not, but it involves Max Muncy. So Max Muncy had his contract selected. The former 2021 first-round pick will get his first taste of the big leagues. He's currently the 59th overall prospect. Fans in Oakland are hopeful his MLB career can mirror that of his minor league. He was named the 2024 Midwest League as the High A Championship Series MVP, so he was part of that championship team last year. In fact, he was one of the main reasons why we ended up winning the championship. And this year, he was named to the 2025 Texas League All-Star Team, which is AA. So he's really succeeded. And the cool part is he can play first, he can play second. If he gets more time at third, he can be a good third baseman. He's an average shortstop. So even, Nick Allen, depending how he does, Nick Allen needs to watch out because he looks like he's going to be way better offensively. So do I keep playing Nick Allen? Do I find a new home for Nick Allen? And he can also play left field. So he's got so many positions that he can play that his value is just through the roof. Defensively, he's okay in the outfield, but infield is where he truly belongs. He's projected to get above average power, above average contact. He's got a really good eye, so he's got really good plate patience. And he can steal bases. He's not the fastest, but he can steal bases, and he's fairly aggressive when it comes to that. So all around a really good looking player. Hopefully, he's part of the big future here. Even though it's getting a little crowded here in the infield, I wish we were spreading the talent out somewhere else, like getting some pitching. But currently, the lineup is starting to. Last year, he was at low A last year, so he's made it all the way from low A to the majors, really in about a year and a half time. He's been crushing it. Started off last year in low A's where he absolutely crushed it. Spent the entire season at high A, ended up being good enough to, even though the season statistically didn't look great, his tools were more than good enough to play at the next level, so I did. So he ends up going to AA, where this year he earned a midseason promotion. Played really well, I would say, better than high A last year. And I'll call him with AAA, and he hasn't looked back at me in pretty much the entire month, a little over a month. You can see he's really playing out of his mind. He's already got 20 home runs. If you combine his minor league home runs, it just looks really good. And this is where he kind of comes up here and finishes up his development. And hopefully we have he can play first because he's got the power. But we already have Tyler Soderstrom there, so doesn't really need him at first. Don't really need him at second because of Daryl Hernandez. Don't need him at third because of Zach Geloff. So it looks like shortstop is more than likely where he'll end up, even though defensively he's only at average. But it doesn't matter if his offense is the way it's been throughout his entire minor league career, because if his offense is going to offset that average defense by a mile. Because Nick Allen has been not just below average, but well below average offensively, which really hurts, even though defensively he's great. But he's not providing much when it comes to offense, and we need offense eventually. It's hard to win 2-1, 3-1. We just don't have the offense to keep up with everybody. Like I said, we're down 2-3 runs. I feel like that's an insurmountable amount. So that's the most exciting news, is getting Max Muncy. Let's take a look at what the pitching looks like. So Kim Wallachek, like we said, we already won. JP Sears, much more. He's currently 500. At one point, he was the only winning record pitcher we had. But he's really extremely respectable season so far on the year. A 3.88 ERA is nothing to scoff at. Last game, that was a tough one. Because he was doing well up to that sixth inning and then just fell apart and gave up 6 runs. After doing so well, I might have actually kept him in because the bullpen was kind of getting tired, so I might have forced him to pitch. I did. He threw 122 pitches that game. I kind of needed him to stay in. Our bullpen was really getting depleted as far as stamina was concerned. But still, he's having a good year, much improved from last year. The last 2 years where he was probably just middle of the road, ho-hum, nothing exciting. This year, he's much better. I consider him a good starter. Like if he can do 3.88 or something similar to this next year, that's a very good, productive pitcher. Especially, although talent-wise, he belongs in the 4 or 5 slot. And then Colin Wiles, the trade that we believe we got from the New York Yankees. Again, nothing spectacular, but just steady Eddie. Usually goes deep. I mean, he's got, of his last 5 starts, 4 of them are quality starts. So typically he's going to go deep into innings. He's the bullpen relief. My bullpen loves him because he can go deep enough to where we don't have to dip into the bullpen and start using up every arm from the 5th inning to the 9th inning. But he's having a pretty steady, considering he's actually doing better for us than he was at AAA. Now, of course, that was a small sample size. But the fact remains he is doing slightly better for us than he was at AAA level. And then Freddie Tarnok, not the year I was expecting. It's been up and down. So hopefully, but again, I think he missed a big chunk last year. Only pitched 2 innings, so only pitched 2 innings last year, so he's still got some rust to throw off. And then Kyle Muller, just disappointing. I was expecting a kind of a jump this year, because last year I was like, all right, you showed some promise later on toward the end. This year was the opposite. He started off strong, and now he's fallen off in the end. Last year he was terrible, and then picked it up at the end of the year to earn a pretty respectable 4.81 ERA. But now this year he's kind of going the opposite route. Bullpen, we've truly missed Mason Miller. Mason Miller was an absolute beast. As you can see here, the bullpen has steadily become a liability. As you can see, David Leal also moved from starting pitcher to the bullpen, where he can come in as one of those I call him a fireman, guys who I can put in if the guy ahead of him is just walking too many guys, and it looks like it's about to be one of those breakthrough innings. I'll try to put him in to hopefully put an end to that. It's the bullpen much less exciting than it has been. Michael Kelly gets a chance to close. As you can see, once Mason Miller left, it's been hard to find a closer. Let's take a look at our lineup. Pretty exciting stuff here. Who were the names that we really liked? Oh, Estuary, look at the way he's playing now. I mean, he's playing really well. Last year I couldn't get him to do anything. This year he's showing a little bit of pop. A couple of games he's got 3 home runs. Although it's a small sample size, but his skill level has definitely dropped since I got here. Defensively, he's a stud at left field. That's probably, if he can play like this, that could very well be his home moving forward. But he looks like he's found himself, because those wheels is what I like the most. Get those wheels going. That's your biggest tool, is you can just get on base and then make something happen when you're on them, because you sure can. A pretty good year so far. Hopefully they can translate over to next year, because I think he was steady at AAA this year too. Hasn't played in a lot of games, period, at all. It's just he was steady at AAA, hitting over 300, and now he's pretty steady here for about a month, hitting near 300. Zach Geloff has picked it up big time. He's on fire, as you can see here. He's got an OPS in the 800s now. He's nearly batting 300. He's looking pretty darn good. 77 still. I think if he wasn't, did I bench him early? I think I might have benched him earlier in the year because he was kind of cold. But obviously he's picked it up. He's looking to lead the league in stolen bases for the second year in a row. Last year, he led the AL with 90 stolen bases. This year, he may do it again. It's on pace for 77. It's probably still best in the AL. So, like I said, this is why I like him at third. I think he's my future third baseman. Really, we're starting to figure out who's going to be in our lineup moving forward. Of course, first baseman Tyler Soderstrom. Can't wait to have him for a full season. Even though he's going to play roughly a little over half the games, he's on pace for 20 home runs. You figure if you give him a full run for the full season, he's going to get you nearly 40, 35 to 40. And his power's not done yet. He can still get a little more power, which means those 40 home run seasons are a real thing. And considering that his avoid K is actually better than his I, he should put the ball into play as well. So his average should be fairly decent along with the home runs. He's somebody that's he's not going to be a streaky hitter. He's not going to be one of those guys where he disappears for weeks at a time because it's home run or nothing. He's going to be one of those guys that will still hit a double and get a single, get on base. But of course, his home run is his bread and butter. He needs just 4 more to get to 20, and that's almost just half a season's worth of work. What does he have at AAA, just out of curiosity? He had 12. He's 16, so he's got 28 home runs already combined. And there's our first baseman. And then, of course, Seth Brown. He's in a little cold streak right now, but he's having a pretty darn good year. He's on pace for 36 home runs. He already has 29. He's on pace for 36. Looks like he's going to get his 20 stolen bases, so that's a very good club to be in. The 30-20 club there, or 35-20, however you want to call it. So a really good club. Usually I think they go by tens. So a 30-20 club, pretty darn good. But he's also a solid left fielder. So like I said, we're going to have some decisions to start making. What else do we got here? That's good to look at. Shea Langoliers. Our catcher that last year kind of struggled. As you can see here, really struggled last year. But this year he's doing much better. Also another guy that's on pace for 20 home runs, 23 stolen bases. So 4 home runs shy of 20, 1 stolen base shy of 20. Can he get that elusive 2020? Can he be part of that 2020 club as a catcher? I mean, I think that to me is valuable. A catcher that's part of the 2020 club. So, like I said, my team is starting to look pretty darn good. Like, everybody's looking good. And then, of course, J.J. Bleday, a former All-Star. Also, he's already over 20 home runs. He's already over 20. He's part of the 2020 club already. 21 home runs, 21 stolen bases. And he did it in roughly 100 games or so. I probably did do it in 100 games. I don't see him hitting any home runs in the last 4. So, it looks like he did it in 100 games this year. So 20 home runs, 21 home runs, 21 stolen bases. All in all, a good season. And he's a tremendous right fielder with that arm strength. So, as you can see, this team is offensively reshaping up. I mean, we're getting every position. Like, if you think about the positions, catcher obviously is Shea Langoliers. Everybody else been doing a good job. Brett Harris is decent. Dubon's a little He's dropped off since the beginning of the year. If you look at the positions, Shea Lingler is check. First baseman, so catcher check, first baseman check, second baseman is probably going to be Daryl Hernandez, or it could be Max Muncy. There's a lot. There's plenty of possibilities there. Third baseman, Zach Geloff. Shortstop, could be Max Muncy. Max Muncy could move to short. Daryl Hernandez could stay at second. Left field is probably still going to be Seth Brown. Center field will be back to Mauricio Dubon, and then right fielder J.J. Lindy. That's a pretty decent little lineup, top to bottom. It's not something to hate. So that's the future that we're looking forward to. I'm excited to see how Max Muncy does in his first little taste of Major League Baseball. So that's it for this video. I will probably just combine September and the little bit part of October as one video instead of stopping in October and then playing. I think there's like a handful of games in October. Yeah, 5 games, so I'm not gonna stop it just for that. So that's it for this video. I will see you at the end of the season.